Hi everyone. So we are going to go over the questions in the Topic for Math Museum. I figured I would upload a video of how to solve, and it can help you review at home. So our first question is, Mrs. Geider bought 22 packs of markers. Each pack has 36 markers in it. How many total markers did Mrs. Geider buy? Well, we know packs tells us groups, and anything groups of is multiplication, and I'm looking for a total. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out 22 times 36. I'm going to use area model to solve. So I draw my rectangle, 4 sections, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I know that 22 gets broken up into 20 and 2, and I know 36 gets broken up into 30 and 6. Now I just follow the numbers. 20 times 30, 2 times 30, 20 times 6, 2 times 6. And then I take each product and I add them up. So I know 20 times 30 is 600. Don't forget to control those zeros. 2 times 30 is 60. 20 times 6 is 120. And 2 times 6 is 12. I add that all up. 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. I get 792 markers. Let's move on to the next one. This one's pretty straightforward. Find the product of 43 times 60. Oh, okay, 43 times 60. Now, I'm noticing this is a multiple of 10, so I know 2 of my partial products is going to equal 0. I have 43 and I have 60. So I know right away that's going to be 0. So now all I have to worry about is these two. 40 times 60, 3 times 60. Control those zeros. I know 4 times 6 is 24. 2 more zeros, and then 3 times 6 is 18. And that's 180. And then I add those together. I have 0, 8, 5, and 2. So our answer is 2,580. This one you had to think a little bit differently than you normally do. So this is kind of like a riddle. The product of 2 factors is 1,500. One of the factors is 50. What is the other factor? All right, so I know that I have 50 as a factor, and I know the product, which is really the answer, is 1,500. And I know it's multiplication because it's using the vocabulary words product and factor. And I know that those two tell me multiplication. So I have to go 50 times what equals 1,500? Well, we have to find the hidden fact here. So 5 times something equals 15. Well, what could that be? Well, if I'm not sure off the top of my head, I can just skip count 5, 10, 15, and I would get 3. But look at these zeros. I have 1 here, but it ends with 2. So I know that one of the other factors has to be 30. And I'm going to double check my work. 50 times 30. Cover my zeros. I know that 5 times 3 is 15, and I control those zeros, and I have 1,500. So my answer is 30. Where's our favorites? Which 2 expressions are equal to 310? My advice to you is test every single one of them out, and whatever works is your answer. So 31 times 10. Well, I know if I cover the 0, I know that that would equal 31, and then I put the 0 on the back. So that is definitely an expression that works. I know 30 times 10, if I cover those zeros, I know 30 times 10 is 300, plus 1 is 301. So that doesn't work. I'm going to move on. 30 times 10, I know is 300, plus 10 times 10, which I know is 100, and that equals 400. So that is also not correct. Let me move on. Once again, 30 times 10, I know is 300, plus 10 times 1, I know is 10. Look at that, 310. Let's fill that one in. And my last one, 15 times 10, I know is 150, plus 100, and I know that that's 250. So that is not a selection I'm going to make. So our two expressions are these, this first one and this fourth one. Multiple choice, here we go. Wendy is making 62 rubber band bracelets. Each bracelet uses 36 rubber bands. What is the best estimate to solve 62 times 36? What is the exact answer? So it's asking for two things here. It's asking for the best estimate, but it's also asking for the exact answer. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to solve the exact answer, because that will guide me in the right direction. So I know it's 62 times 36, and I'm going to use partial products to solve. And remember, say it in your mind, 62. So that has to be broken up into 60 and 2. I have 36. I'm going to break it up into 30 and 6. 30 times 60 is this box. 30 times 2 is that box. 60 times 6 is there. And either 6 times 2 or 2 times 6, doesn't matter to me, is there. So now I'm going to solve. 30 times 60. I know 3 times 6 is 18, and I add those two zeros. I know 3 times 2 is 6, and I add a 0, so I know that that's 60. 6 times 6 is 36. Add the 0, so that's 360, and my simple 1 digit by 1 digit fact. Here we go. 6 plus 6 is 12. 13. Carry the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. And I carry the 1 one more time, and I get 2,232. Now I'm going to go back into my answers. And look at that. A is 2,232. And if I reflect on best estimate, 62 has stayed the same, and 36 certainly rounds to 40, because 5 or more up for sure. Number 6. This one is a little bit of geometry, so I gave you a little bit of a hint when reading this question. One rug is 22 feet by 14 feet. Another rug is 16 feet by 10 feet. What is the difference between the areas of the rugs? Well, areas, I remember area is side times side. So I definitely have to multiply, but this difference, that's telling me that that's a different operation, and we'll get to that in a moment. So I have one rug. That is 14 by 22. My second rug is 10 by 16. So I'm going to do partial product for this rug. I actually don't have to, and we'll get to that in a minute. So I go 22. I break up the 14. I can't say that out loud, but I know that a 10 and a 4 make up 14. So 20 times 10 is 200. 10 times 2 is 20. 4 times 20 is 80. And 4 times 2 is 8. And then I just add 200, 20, 80, and 8. And I get 308 square feet. Now I get to the second rung, which is 10 times 16. But remember, we play hide and seek with those zeros, and that simple fact is 1 times 16, and I pop on that 0. But I'm not done, because I've got this here. And when you're finding the difference with something, you have to subtract. 308 minus 160. 8 minus 0 is 8. Checking to see if you remember how to regroup. So my answer is 148 square feet. Number 7. Number 7 is really all about number sense. Okay, so let's read it. Each bag has 13 candy bars in it. Use the numbers in the box to complete the table. I have a 20, and so a 20 is a factor, and I know 13 is a factor because this is the number of bags and this is the number of candy bars. Okay, so I know 20 times 13 has to equal something. But let's make sense of this problem. I know that 20 times 13 is one of these answers. So 20 times 13 would be, I could cover the 0, and 2 times 13 is 26, and I pop on that 0. So that's 260. And I can cross that out. Now, if this goes 20, 30, 40, 50, then that should work. I can just fill in my answers, because it wouldn't be 650 times something equals 390, right? It's going to increase by 10, and then 650 goes right here. You could also, if you wanted to figure out what times 13 equals 390, you can test out the number. 30 times 13 equals something. So I cover the 0, and 13 times 3 is 39, and the 0. And it's just about recognizing patterns here. It's all about number sense. So don't overthink this one. This one was easier than you think. Let's get to some donuts. I have Krispy Kreme has 17 trays of donuts. Each tray has 34 donuts. How many total donuts does Krispy Kreme have? Use rounding to check if your answer is reasonable. So this is a two-step problem. First, I have to solve 17 times 34, but then at the end, I have to use rounding to check to see if my answer is reasonable. So I have 17 times 34. I'm going to do partial products. I break up that 17 into a 10 and a 7. I break up the 34 into 30 and 4. 30 times 10, 30 times 7, 10 times 4, 7 times 4. 30 times 10, play hide and seek, control the zeros, you've got 300. 3 times 7, I know is 21, and I pop on that 0. 10 times 4 is 40, 7 times 4 is 28. 8. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 3 plus 2 is 5. So now my exact answer is 578. But remember the second part of that question. Use rounding to check if your answer is reasonable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to round 17 and 34. So 17 I know rounds to 20. 34 rounds down to 30. Control those zeros. 2 times 3 is 6, and I use 2 zeros. Now look, 600 is pretty close to 578. Okay, now we have another multi-step problem, so let's tackle it together. The cleaning service charges $75 to dust, vacuum, and mop a floor. How much did the cleaning service earn? Oops, forgot an N. Earn if they clean 21 floors in October and 25 floors in November. Well, I know for sure I've got to split my page. So I'm going to write October, November. And my equation for October would be 75, because that's what they charge per floor, times 21, because this is the amount of floors in 1 month. So my first equation is 75 times 21. That's October. There's 25 floors in November. They're a little bit busier. So 75 times 25 in November. And now I use partial products to solve. $75, $21. 7 times 2 is 14, and I pop on the zeros. 5 times 20 is 100. Oh, and look at this, easy identity property here. So now I do 1,400. 100, 70, and 5. I add that all up. Let's scoot my paper a little. 5, 7. So that's just for the month of October. Let's get to November. I'm going to do partial products again. 75, and this is 25. Well, I've already solved this top row, right? 1,400 and 100. Now 70 times 5. Cover the 0. I know that's 35. And I add a 0. And 5 times 5, easy peasy. 1,400, 100, 350, and 25. 5, 7. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 4. Ooh, doubles fact. And I have that. So that's November. Now, it's asking me, how much does the cleaning service earn if they clean 21 floors in October and 25 floors in November? So I've got to add these two together. So I have 1,575 plus 1,875. Seven plus 7 is 14, plus another 1 is 15. Carry the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 4. Carry the 1 more time. The cleaning service earned $3,450 cleaning floors in October and November. And this is the last part of the Math Museum. It's a 2-part, but 11 is super duper easy, and I know all of you can do it. If William runs 18 laps around the track 11 times in September and 13 laps around the track 19 times in October, use an area model to solve how many laps he ran in the 2 months. Okay, so September. October. Okay, so how many laps in September? 18 laps, 11 times in September. So 18 times 11. 13 laps around the track, 19 times in October. So now we use the area model to solve. I'm going to split the 18 into 10 and 8 and 11 into 10 and 1. And I'm going to get 100, 80, 10, and 8. So 100 plus 80 plus 10 plus 8. So that's 198 laps just in September. But they want to know both months. So I have to find out October. Same exact strategy. 10, 3, because the 13 breaks up into 10 and 3, and 19 breaks up into 10 and 9. I know that's 100, because that's 10 times 10, 10 times 3 is 30. 10 times 9 is 90. 3 times 9 is 27. 100 plus 30 plus 90 plus 27. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 9 is 14. Carry the 1. 247. So now I have to add these two. So 247 plus 198. So in the 2 months, William ran 445 laps. And 11 is super duper easy. All you have to do is write the equations that you use. So you have to write the equation 18 times 11 equals 198. And 13 times 19 equals 247. And then you just have to write this equation again. And that's it. You're done with the Math Museum. I hope you found this video really helpful. I will do this every time if you enjoy it and if it's a good study guide for you. And I will see you back in the classroom. Bye.